Hello everybody, assalamu alaikum. Okay, let's continue with our review. Mm, okay. Okay, so let's continue with chapter 17, economics of scale and diseconomics of scale. Okay, so in the previous chapter we already discussed about the average cost curve. So this chapter is related to that. See, so the average cost curve looks like this, right? It looks like a U. Okay. So see that the trend is like that. That if we increase the output, what happens? The average cost starts to fall. Okay, so this part is so this up to this, what's happening? That it's falling. So up to this part is known as economies of scale, and at this point, after this point, what happens that the output is rising, but average cost is also rising. Okay, so this is not something not so good, right? So this is known as diseconomies of scale. Okay, so economies of scale means what? This means falling average cost because of increasing the production. And diseconomies of scale means rising average cost when the production becomes too large. Okay, and this minimum point of AC, this part is known as MES, or minimum efficient scale. Okay, so this is a very good point. Every farm wants to achieve this, but it's very difficult. Okay, you need to increase your production a lot, but you have to be careful that it should not get too large. Then you may fall into diseconomies of scale. Okay, so see, there are mainly two types of economies of scale: internal economies of scale and external economies of scale. So internal economies of scale includes purchasing economics. That means if you purchase in large quantity, then what will happen? You will enjoy a discount, right? So this discount will lead to your purchasing economies of scale because your average cost will fall. Next, we have marketing economies of scale. It means like if you can use your marketing techniques, like maybe suppose you have delivery van. Okay, and if you lots of delivery van, so if you can use the body of your delivery van as your free advertisement of your company. Okay, so this will again be very cost effective for you. Okay, and it will increase your it will increase your effectivity of your resources and reduce the cost of production, so average cost will fall. Next, we have technical economies of scale. That means like if we use large machineries or latest technologies, what will happen? This technological advancement will increase your production and also help you to reduce your average cost. Then we have financial economics. So if you take huge amount of loan, you may get your bargaining power and ask for a lower interest rate. Next, we have risk-bearing economies of scale. So if instead of having a single product, if you have a range of products, what will happen? Your risk will reduce. Okay. Then okay, so this is your internal economies of scale. So internal economies of scale is something that is enjoyed by an individual firm because they are using using their own resources to achieve that internal economies of scale. And but external economies of scale is enjoyed by all the farm in the industry because it's something that is that has happened to the industry or the economy, and all the farms will be enjoying it. Okay, so see, it includes like skilled labor. So suppose if the government provides a better education and training to the workers and the people of the country, then what will happen? All the people of the country, or all the farms in the country, or all the farms in a particular region, will enjoy this benefit of they'll have access to skilled labor. Next, infrastructure. Infrastructure includes like roads and bridges and railways. Okay, so this will, if these are developed by the government, then what will happen? And that yeah, all the yeah, farms in that region will enjoy this improved road and bridges. Okay, so again, there's a chance of reducing average cost. And then ancillary and commercial services. Okay, ancillary means like supportive industry. So think about you have ready-made garments. Okay, but all the related industries like marketing, cleaning, banking, insurance, waste disposal, distribution, maintenance. So these are like not direct related to you, but these are supporting things that are very much required to run any industry, right? So if this develops, then what will happen? And all the farms in that region will enjoy it. Then we have cooperation. So if we have cooperation among from the supplier, from the customers, then again we'll enjoy a lower average cost, because the supplier may help us to reduce the average cost, or also the customer may also provide feedback, which will also help us to reduce the average cost. Then we have diseconomics scale. So diseconomics scale means like rising average cost. So the causes may include bureaucracy. Bureaucracy means like when you're spending too much resources in the decision making process. Okay, so what will happen? That suppose if when your organization is too large, there will be a rise in rise in this bureaucratic problem, because see your organization will become too big, and it will lead to a longer time for taking any decision. Okay, lots of people will be involved, lots of time will be involved. So it's a problem, it's a bureaucratic problem for taking any decision. Next we have labor relation. When the organization becomes too large, labor relation also faces problem. Because there might be a gap between the supervisor and the yeah, workers. So they may, the laborers may get demotivated, and put themselves into conflict. Okay. Okay. Then next we have control and coordination. When the organization is becoming large, so what will happen? There will be a rise in the number of labor, and so it will be very difficult to control. Okay. Okay, so coordinating this huge amount of labor will be a problem as well. Next, we have competitive market. So there are different type of market, like perfect competition, monopoly, oligopoly. So let's go through this. So perfect competition includes um, what when there is a huge amount of seller and buyer. And monopoly includes when there is only one buyer. Oligopoly means when there is few buyer. Okay, and there are also other types of markets, so I'm not going through them. You mainly need these three: perfect competition, monopoly, and oligopoly. Okay, so perfect competition, you'll have large number of sellers and buyers. The products are almost similar. They don't have they have few substitutes. There are low barrier to entry, so anyone can join the market easily. And then virtually no control over the price. That means price is determined by the demand and supply, not in the control of the firm. And then there are free flow of information about the nature of products. Okay. Okay. Next, we have competition. For competition, it's a very crucial thing, because they'll try to be more efficient. They'll try to, the farm will also try to increase the quality of the products, so that they can keep their customers satisfied. Then they'll also try to charge lower price, so that they can attract customers and retain customers. They will also go for innovation, coming up with new varieties. Okay. So this is very beneficial for the consumers because there are lower prices involved. Customers will enjoy these lower prices, this high level of choices, and better quality. Okay, so all of them are very beneficial for the customers, but at the same time there will be disadvantages. Like say that then the market will become more uncertain. There will be a lack of innovation. So lack of innovation will be there because say that because as these firms are earning a very low amount of profit, so this low amount of profit will lead to a very small amount of fund, which might be insufficient for expensive research and development. So see, even if the firms want to go for innovation, they will fail to afford them. Okay, so now let's think it from the perspective of the economy. Competition is a very good thing for them because allocation of resources will become more efficient. There will be less waste. There will be less waste of resources. So standard of living will rise because people can now afford goods at a lower price and higher quality. Okay, and then PPC will shift to the right. Okay, because of this efficient use of resources, there will be an outward shift of the PPC curve. Then again, we have disadvantages, like sometimes resources are wasted, and factors are immobile. Okay, so that's a problem. Okay. So, suppose think about advertising. Advertising will lead to lower. Advertising will lead to this competition is leading firms to a high level of advertisement. So this high level of advertisement is sometimes a waste because you are wasting huge amount of money to attract customers. Instead of advertising, you could have used it for the development of the product. Okay, or reduced price for the consumers, right? So this is one thing. Uh, okay, so let's move to the next chapter: advantage and disadvantage of the small farm. So say whether a farm is small or large, you can judge it based on turnover, then that means sales or revenue, then number of employees or capital employed. Okay, so what are the advantages of small farms? Advantages of small farms includes flexibility. That means is small farms are very flexible. See what happens that that they can quickly take decision and implement them. Okay, this is only possible for small farms. It's difficult for the large farm to quickly change something. Then we have personal services. Personal services include like it's usually possible for small farms because large farms is so large and they have so many customers that they fail to entertain the customers with personal services. Whereas the small farms, you'll find that even the owners are directly involved with the provide services. Okay, so that's why they can provide personal services. Then we have lower wages. Okay, small farms usually pay lower wages, whereas large farms cannot pay that. Okay, so they have to maintain a standard. So that's why possible for for small farms to pay small wages, lower wages. And then we have better communication. Better communication includes like it's a small farm. There is no bureaucratic problem. Easily, communication can be established between workers, managers, suppliers, and customers. Okay, no, not much problem. Then innovation. So innovation is expensive, but it's quite surprising that small firms are quite innovative because when they try to mm, uh, survive in the market, they try to push they push themselves towards creativity and surprisingly they come up with new ideas and become quite successful by taking risk. Okay, then we have disadvantages. So, however, there are some disadvantages of some small farms as well, like higher cost. Like as they are small farms, they will fail to achieve economies of scale, and so their cost may be quite high. Then lack of finance, they won't get much finance because they're small firms, so banks and other financial institutes won't be able to provide much finance for them as they're risky investment. Okay, next we have difficulty to attract right staff. As the small firms can't afford higher wage, so right staff are difficult to attract. Then vulnerability, so competition is there, high level of competition, so often small firms close down, shut down because of this vulnerable situation created by the large firms. Then let's talk about the advantages of large firms, which are very similar to the disadvantage of small firms. See that these small firms fail to achieve economies of scale, but large firms can achieve economies of scale. Small firms are vulnerable in the market, but yeah, large firms are dominant in the market. The small firm cannot afford large scale contracts, but large firms have huge amount of resources and finance, so they can afford large scale of contracts. However, large firms are also facing problems like a bureaucratic problem, as the company is so large and there are problem with decision making process. Then we have poor motivation among the laborers, and coordination and control is also difficult. Okay, so see, you'll notice that these three disadvantages are very similar to diseconomies of scale. So diseconomies of scale is basically one of the main problem by large firms. Okay, so if you're having any problem, let me know. Okay, so we have a good morning over here. Thank you, Boli Janna Toshi. Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Okay, I really appreciate that you attend the morning classes. Okay, and that's a very good habit. Okay, and your exam is very close, and so be attentive. And also, yeah, there are assignments, marked assignments given. So you should go through this as soon as possible. Okay, let me know if you're facing any problem with that. Okay. So these are basically based on the previous question papers, and I think you'll find it comparatively easy. Okay, so let me know if you're facing any problem. Okay, so now let's start Monopoly. Monopoly is like a farm when there is only one dominant farm in the market. Let's go through some of the features, like barriers to entry. So monopolists try to come up with barriers so that new farms or small farms are not there to yeah, yes. They'll try to make a situation where new firms are finds it difficult to enter into the market. Okay, so some of the barriers are like cost barrier. Okay, sometimes this there is a very high cost involved, so it's difficult for a new firm to invest and enter into the market. Then there are legal barriers. Sometimes government can provide legal barrier. It can be done in terms of patent as well. Okay, patents are for what it's a license to prevent copying of the innovation of a new innovation. Mhm. Then we have economies of scale. Economies of scale. So for established dominant firm, it's easy to achieve economies of scale, but for a new firm, it's very difficult. Okay, so as the dominant firm can produce at a lower cost, they will be able, also be able to sell at a lower price. But for a new firm who is failing to achieve economies of scale, for them it's very difficult to sell at a lower price, so it's a problem as well. Then there are marketing barriers like the dominant farm may also already have a very strong brand and have huge investment and advertisement. So it will be very difficult for a strong new farm to establish a strong brand or compete with the existing strong brand. Okay, or spend so much money in the advertising. So it's again a barrier for a new farm. Then new unique product monopolists try to make their product unique. Okay, so that the other farms in the market will find it difficult to copy. Then there are control over price, and it's difficult to control price in a competitive market, but in a monopoly market, the dominant farm actually determines the price. Okay, and so for a new farm, again, it's very or other farms will find it difficult to survive in the market. Okay, and surprisingly, there are some advantages of monopoly. See that they can spend on research and development because these are large farms, dominant farms. They have huge financial and technological support. So um, and this will help them to continue research and development and increase quality and come up with new products. Okay. Then there are economies of scale. So large firms they can achieve economies of scale, so they can produce at lower cost, and also pass this advantage to the consumers in terms of lower price. Okay, then we have natural monopolies. Okay, in some cases, when there is only one farm functioning, and that's more efficient. Okay, so in that case, that time they can achieve economies of scale and continue the services. Like maybe water supply or drainage system of our country, you'll find only one government farm is providing the service. Okay, it's because if there was competition over here, it will be difficult. So it's possible now because they're yeah, providing the service in huge number, okay, large scale, so they can achieve economies of scale. Okay, next we have international competitiveness. Okay, so this monopoly can be also helpful to achieve international competitiveness because as they can produce at lower cost and also sell at lower price. So from the international market, we may also get order. So it's also beneficial for us because it will increase our export. Okay, okay. However, there are disadvantages as well. The disadvantages includes like higher prices, like the monopolists may think that okay, yeah, instead of providing yeah, the benefit of lower price, they can easily exploit the situation and sell to the customers at a higher price because there are no competition. They can fix the price and sell it. Then a restricted choice, okay, as there are no competition, so the monopolist won't have much urge to come up with variety, okay, because customer does not have much option to switch, right? So and they may restrict choice. And then lack of innovation is there because they can afford innovation, but they won't spend in that sector because there's not much pressure on them because they're already dominating the market. So there's no point of producing a unique product and coming up with innovation because there's no yeah, competitor. Okay. Next, we have inefficiency. Okay, so as the monopoly does not have any competition, so that and they're already earning huge amount of profit, so they don't have the urge to reduce cost to maintain profit. So often they are found as in a situation where they're yeah, wasting their wasting their scarce resources because they don't have much intention to reduce the cost. Okay. Okay, so we don't have much time. Maybe I'm going too fast, but we need to finish the syllabus, right? Okay, but let me know if you're facing any problem. Okay, and so in oligopoly we have yeah, this like a few farms are dominating the market. So see what's happening that there are interdependencies. That's one of the features of oligopoly. That means one farm is dependent on another farm. Why? Because of there are few farms, what happens that the few farms have to compete with each other, and suppose if one one farm is changing the price, then other farms also have to change the price, because otherwise they'll be affected. If one farm reduces the price, then what will happen? All the customers may shift to that farm. So that's why the other farms will also have to reduce the price to retain the customers. So see, there's very interdependent with each other. And next, we have barriers to entry. The barriers to entry include barriers to entry includes like what? Mm, barriers to entry include yeah, just like a monopoly. They also try to come up with barriers to entry, like lots of other domain barrier techniques that we mentioned in the monopoly chapter. They also try to do that, so that they can restrict new entrants. Okay, then next we have price rigidity. Okay, they don't want to change price that much, because we already discussed that they're too much interdependent, so they don't want to go into a price war and sacrifice profit. Instead, they have a mutual understanding not to change the price. They try to compete with non-price competition. Okay, so non-price competition is something like the they'll try to make their product unique. Okay, that's the way to compete in the market instead of going for price. They can come up with coupon, loyalty card, free offers, buy one get one free, and additional features. Then there are economies of scale. As they are large firm, they can dominate, and they can achieve yeah, economies of scale, as they have to produce in large quantity. Okay, there is something called collusion, which is common in oligopoly. See what's happening, that in some oligopolistic market. Okay, sorry, we don't have any time today. Okay, so in the next class we'll start from here. Okay, okay, thank you everybody. See you in the next class, inshallah.